Have you ever wondered if your self-pleasure habits might be undermining your ability to fully enjoy intimacy with a partner? It may sound surprising, but according to a large-scale survey published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine, over 90% of men report having masturbated at some point in their lives. National Survey of Sexual Health and Behavior, 2010. That number makes it clear, self-stimulation is practically universal. Yet, despite how common it is, masturbation still carries a lot of misinformation and stigma. Today, we're taking a deep and honest look at the hidden traps that might come with it, and more importantly, how to steer clear of them so you can maintain a satisfying, healthy sex life. Masturbation has countless benefits, from stress relief to improved sleep quality. It's even been associated with benefits to pelvic health, and in moderation, can enhance sexual well-being overall. Many people find it empowering, a safe way to explore their own bodies without the pressure of pleasing someone else. However, while it's natural and normal, the way you go about masturbating can either support or undermine your sexual experiences with a partner. So let's explore the 3 main ways masturbation might be negatively affecting your performance in bed and what you can do to prevent these pitfalls. First things first. If your masturbation habits are moderate and you still feel excited and satisfied when you're with a partner, don't worry. This conversation is meant to give you insights, not scare you. But if you've noticed reduced sensation, difficulties climaxing, or even pain during sex, it might be worth examining whether your technique needs a little adjustment. Let's start with something called traumatic masturbation syndrome and see why it's become a buzzword among sexual health experts. Traumatic masturbation syndrome was introduced by Dr. Lawrence Sank in 1998 after he observed men who regularly masturbated in a prone position, meaning they lay face down on a hard surface, such as a bed or the floor, and press their pelvis firmly against it while stimulating themselves. Over time, this technique can create friction or pressure that is far more intense than what happens during most partnered sexual experiences. In clinical settings, some men who engage in these prone methods end up reporting issues like low sexual desire, reduced sensitivity, or even erectile difficulties. One survey examined the habits of nearly 2,600 men who identified as having premature ejaculation. Interestingly, when researchers allowed participants to openly describe their masturbation techniques instead of choosing from a strict set of responses, several reported using methods that align with traumatic masturbation syndrome. It's a small slice of data, but it underlines what many urologists and sex therapists observe in practice. If your self-pleasure style involves forceful or unusual pressure, you risk training your body to require that intense sensation to climax. Then, when you switch to partner-based activities, your body might not respond as readily because it's used to a specific, higher level of stimulation. The second pitfall is known in popular culture as the death grip. This is not an official medical term, but many doctors refer to the concept as idiosyncratic masturbation style. If you're using a very firm, tight grip on your genitals, and you do this repeatedly, your body may develop a pattern of needing that intense pressure to achieve orgasm. It's akin to the principle of habituation. The more you expose yourself to a certain intensity, the less sensitive you become to lower intensities. Over time, you might find that you need an even firmer grip, faster strokes, or more aggressive maneuvers just to feel the same level of pleasure. This creates a vicious cycle where you chase the same sensation but end up with diminishing returns. In one study of 500 men with delayed ejaculation, a condition where reaching climax can be very difficult or drawn out, about 37% said they had some form of idiosyncratic masturbation habit, like an unreplicatable grip or a specific fantasy that was essential for them to orgasm. Remember, an idiosyncratic style is one that a partner can't easily imitate. It might be pressure that's beyond what a partner's hand, mouth, or body can provide, or a mental script you've developed with certain imagery or specific scenarios that don't naturally translate into partner sex. Before you blame yourself entirely for any changes in sensation or trouble climaxing, keep in mind that other factors could be at play. Lower testosterone levels, which often decline with age, certain medications, especially antidepressants, diabetes, or nerve issues from prolonged sitting and biking are just a few. According to the Mayo Clinic, substances like alcohol or recreational drugs can also mute your nervous system, making it harder to feel pleasure. So if you suspect a medical root cause, it's absolutely worth getting a checkup or speaking to a healthcare professional. Still, if you're pretty sure the problem isn't primarily medical and you suspect the issue might lie with your masturbation habits, consider these strategies. Number 1, take a break. A hiatus from masturbation, even for a week or two, can help reset your body's sensitivity. Many people who do this report noticing sharper and more intense sensations once they resume. Number 2, change it up. If you've always relied on a firm grip or a powerful vibrator, try gentler, slower methods. If you typically watch explicit videos, experiment with mental fantasies or reading erotic literature instead. This can be an opportunity to explore different sources of arousal that might be easier to replicate with a partner. Number 3, incorporate lubricants. A high-quality water-based or silicone-based lubricant reduces friction and can help you shift away from the overly intense pressure you might be applying. Also, focus on the journey rather than the end goal. Pay attention to the sensation of touch, changes in temperature, or even the emotional context of arousal. This form of mindfulness can enhance your overall sexual experience. You might be wondering about another danger that occasionally occurs with rough or aggressive masturbation: the dreaded penile fracture. While it's not as common as the other issues, it's definitely something you want to avoid. An erect penis can be surprisingly susceptible to injury if it's bent or subjected to forceful, awkward movements. The term fracture is somewhat misleading because there's no actual bone in the penis, but the crack or pop you might hear if the penile tissue tears is real and extremely painful. Typically, this kind of injury requires immediate surgical attention, or you could risk complications like permanent curvature, erectile dysfunction, or scar formation. Very forceful or hurried self-stimulation can contribute to this risk, especially if you're bending your penis against a firm surface or thrusting vigorously into something unyielding. Even partially erect masturbation can be problematic if you're forcing the penis into a position it's not ready for. If you ever notice sudden, intense pain, swelling, or a popping sound, don't ignore it. Seek medical care right away. Beyond these physical concerns, there's also the aspect of how masturbation fits into your overall lifestyle. It might sound strange to think about self-pleasure in those terms, but some individuals find that they begin prioritizing masturbation over more important life activities. Ask yourself if you're skipping social events, shirking responsibilities, or missing quality time with your partner in favor of solo sessions. While there's no official maximum number of times you're allowed to masturbate each week, it becomes a red flag if it's interfering with your day-to-day functioning or your emotional well-being. If you prefer masturbation to the point that you regularly avoid spending time with friends or a partner, that's a sign to reassess. Self-pleasure is healthiest when it enhances your life, not when it replaces meaningful connection or personal growth. Sometimes it can even mask deeper emotional issues, like loneliness, stress, or anxiety, that might benefit from talking to a mental health professional or confiding in someone you trust. According to a 2021 study in the International Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry, around 20% of older adults experience mental health challenges such as depression or anxiety, both of which can influence sexual behavior. Similar psychological factors can be present in younger populations too, so it's worth considering how you feel emotionally when you're engaging in masturbation. Another consideration is pornography use. In some cases, if you rely heavily on explicit materials, especially content that's highly stimulating or extreme, it can raise your threshold for arousal in real-life encounters. If you're frequently watching videos that feature highly specific fetishes, intensities, or scenarios, partnered sex might start feeling comparatively tame. While pornography in moderation can be a helpful tool for exploring fantasies, it becomes concerning when you can't get aroused without it, or when it's fueling idiosyncratic masturbation methods that simply don't translate into partner intimacy. If you find your arousal is heavily tied to visual cues that your partner can't replicate, it might be time to cut back or choose different materials that are more in line with a realistic experience. Alternatively, shifting focus to your own imagination or to a shared fantasy with a partner can reintroduce novelty and excitement without relying on external images. When it comes to healing or retraining your body, a helpful approach is something sex therapists refer to as sensate focus. While this is often used by couples, it can also be beneficial for individuals. Sensate focus involves a step-by-step process of touching and being touched, focusing solely on the sensations rather than on performance or climax. It encourages you to be fully present in each moment, noticing subtle shifts in pressure and heat, and learning to enjoy the sensual connection instead of rushing toward orgasm. If you're in a relationship, this exercise can be done together to rekindle intimacy, reduce performance pressure, and rebuild trust in your body's capacity for pleasure in a more natural mutual setting. Of course, if pain, difficulty climaxing, or other sexual concerns persist, it's always wise to see a healthcare provider. You could start with a urologist if you have a penis, or a gynecologist if you have a vagina. They can rule out underlying medical conditions, like hormonal imbalances or nerve issues, that might be exacerbating the challenges. A therapist who specializes in sexual health can also provide tailored strategies to help you shift away from habits that no longer serve you. Ultimately, masturbation doesn't have to be dangerous or detrimental. In fact, when practiced mindfully and in moderation, it can be a source of immense pleasure and self-discovery. The key is making sure it fits comfortably into the mosaic of your life, rather than becoming the focal point that disrupts genuine human connections or leads to physical harm. If you notice patterns of traumatic masturbation syndrome, death grip, or signs of excessive force, consider experimenting with new methods or taking a short break to let your body recalibrate. You might be surprised by how quickly your sensitivity returns and how much more fulfilling partnered sex can become when you're no longer dependent on hyperstimulation. As you reflect on your own habits, remember that sexuality is deeply personal. There is no one-size-fits-all rule. It's all about being honest with yourself. Are you able to enjoy intimacy with a partner in a way that feels satisfying for both of you? Are you taking care of your overall well-being, physical, emotional, and social? If the answers are yes, you're probably on the right track. If not, consider that shifting your masturbation style might be the simple but powerful change you need. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss our latest updates. Your support means the world to us. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps share our message with a wider audience. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoyed the content, type yes in the comments below. If it didn't resonate with you, let me know by typing no. Your feedback is incredibly valuable and helps me craft videos that better suit your interests. So, what's your biggest takeaway from these insights on masturbation and how it can impact your sexual performance? Have you ever considered whether your technique might be desensitizing you? Or have you found healthy ways to incorporate self-pleasure into your life without drawbacks? Let's keep this conversation open and honest. After all, understanding our own bodies is one of the most empowering journeys we can undertake.